Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of Cards of the Rich and Famous. And I wanted to do the first show on someone that I've loved, since childhood, and I'm pretty sure many of you have as well. He's entertained people through generations of family members, right? And Michael Jackson has been in the forefront in the news here lately because, there was a movie that was recently dropped, I think about 3 months ago, a biography on him and everything. And so I just wanted to revere him a little bit differently. We're going to talk about his birth card, right? We're going to talk about the Ten of Hearts. There's been a lot of different breakdowns on Michael Jackson, but I don't think anyone has done it quite this way because, every birth card tells you what someone was built for. And Michael Jackson's card tells you why the world couldn't look away from him and why underneath it all he may have been fighting himself the entire time, right? He may have been going against his own self. Now, of course, everyone knows Michael Jackson was born August 29th, 1958, and unfortunately he passed away June 25th, 2009. Now, as an August 29th date for the Ten of Hearts, that means he's the Virgo Ten of Hearts, right? And so he's ruled by Mercury. And that combination alone explains more about him than any biography ever has because, the Ten of Hearts is a card of success through love. And it doesn't mean like necessarily romantic love, but it's love through groups, large groups, the public. It's a connection that you have. It's a leadership card. It's an idealist card, right? And so the Ten of Hearts, they don't follow. They lead through charisma, through warmth, through sheer force of being watched and adored. But then you need to layer in that Mercury, because remember, Mercury is the planet of communication and thought. And so he also has that Virgo birthday. So this means that the Ten of Hearts energy slightly shifts with that influence. This isn't just a performer's card anymore. It's a perfectionist card. And Michael was truly a perfectionist to his heart. That Mercury Virgo Ten of Hearts natives are very money minded. They're drawn to work. That brings quick, tangible results, right? So Michael was a perfectionist at his craft. His craft was doing music and dancing. And no one could outdance Mike. No one could outsing Mike. Even his brothers, right? There was competition in the household, but Mike quickly rose to the top at a young age, leading the group. And here's the twist that no one would guess, despite being ruled by detail-obsessed, analytical Virgo, of course he's going to be pulled to like the arts, the music, and the drama. But of course, when he committed to that, he developed a technique that most artists can never touch, right? To this day, there is no one who could quite do the moves that Michael was doing when he was dancing. No one quite has his voice, just his signature style as far as his fashion sense, right? And so Michael embodied all that energy through this card and through his planetary ruler and his sign. So this kind of aligns everything because he kind of had a burden of being a perfectionist. And so the same placement carries a warning most people never hear. It's a tendency really just to be overcritical, right? He was really hard on himself. And so that gave him nervous energy. He was worried a lot about his appearance, how people would perceive him. And so very self-critical of himself, unfortunately. And, but see, Michael was born under the influence of the two, because the 29, right? Born on the 29, 2 plus 9 is 11, 1 plus 1 is 2. But we leave it at the 11 because 11 is a master number. And so that means that he was a very intuitive, visionary leader. So that made him greater than just a general artist. And that card actually had a built-in challenge within itself, that Ten of Hearts, because self-insistence and the refusal to bend, right? That was him. And the need for every decision and every idea to be his and his only. So Michael really strove for independence and making sure that he had an influence on what he was producing and that it was something that was signature to his style and not conforming to what other people in the music industry may have wanted or his family influence or what have you, right? And so there's a cost to all this, though, because every Ten of Hearts carries a fork in the road. Of course, you're going to live well and you're going to get the warmth and connection and love in return full, but it's also you're going to be living under a strain, right? So that same drive for power and recognition actually becomes a wall. So it's going to be a life. He had a life surrounded by people, but still somehow he felt alone, right? In some way or another, he was surrounded by people, but in many ways he felt alone, like people didn't quite understand him. So really, in the later part of his years, that would be something he definitely would need to guard against. Being lonely. But he didn't make it to that part. We're going to talk about his birth cards a little bit. But I just kind of wanted to touch on the Ten of Hearts with the Virgo influence that Mike was born under, because, that is the start for everything. That Ten of Hearts, man, it is very influential. Public adoration, public love from musicians on top of that. And, he was born to do what he did in this lifetime. And he came across in this world as someone determined to leave a mark. And he did that. He did that. Michael was very blessed with the hand that he was dealt in life. And that's what I call these cards, right? The cards are the hands that you're dealt in life. And so his birth card being the Ten of Hearts, he was dealt a Mercury card of the Ten of Diamonds. Michael really has some powerful cards in his hand, to be honest with you. Looking at his birth spread, it is very, I'm very awestruck looking at it, because very powerful influence. He has quite a bit of diamonds. He has the Ace of Diamonds, Ace of Hearts. So with the Mercury card and being a Ten of Diamond, let's start there. That means that he had a good sense of values, right? And a good sense of business acumen and ability to think big, and success in large enterprises. And if you think about it, Michael was a child star, right? He was a child star, so he always had money at a young age, right? He was doing well at a young age with this Ten of Diamonds and Mercury. He was very ambitious, success oriented, and then he had the potential for gain in his early years, as you saw, because he started leading his brother's group at a young age. Remember, I think there was six brothers, or two or three older brothers, Jermaine and Tito and them. They were much older than Michael, but Michael came along and was started leading the group like at 5 years old. So that lets you know right there that Ten of Diamonds was always there to support him. Now, let's go on to his Venus period. His Venus period would have happened around the age of 13, because usually that's the time your Venus period happens. And Michael, again, had a very powerful card here. He had the Eight of Spades. And so, Eight of Spades is the card of work, success through work. And so that's what he continued to do during that time frame, right? His teenage years, he continued to work. He made useful contacts with work activities. His family joined, had their own TV series, right? They had their own cartoon. They did TV shows. I think they had their own Jackson Hour or something like that, like a variety show. So they did a lot of things during that time with TV. Also had a need to be active and productive. So, his life was very busy for him at that time, because he was such in a productive mode, building with his family. But of course, there was always some power battles, I'm sure, behind the scenes, because that also indicates that with the Eight of Spades, whether it was with his father or his brothers or somewhere along the line, there probably was some type of power dynamics. I know they were having some issues with Motown around that time, and they decided to move on, I think, to Epic Records at the moment. So they could have been that. And, Berry Gordy kind of took them under their wing, kind of like a father figure. So that could have been, very influential during that time with that Eight of Spades and Venus. And, also with that Eight of Spades and Venus, that means he loved the work that he was doing. Because remember, spades represent work, right? When you see a spade somewhere, that's going to represent some type of work. And that Eight of Spades, like I said, represents success in work. Now, the Ten of Spades represents success in hard work, right? So that'd be the difference between the Eight of Spades and the Ten of Spades. But, it's still nonetheless, it's in the Venus placement, so we know that he loved what he was doing. Now, Mars card, Ace of Hearts. So again, another big powerful card, the Ace of Hearts. So he had idealism and passion, and he was just very dynamic, right? He was a very dynamic person. Now, whether or not that people judged him for his appearances, or maybe he was just very, self-critical of the way he looked, because he started, changing the way that he looked. Now his Mars time would have been around, 30s, right? That's usually when you're in your Mars era, and Mars represents your vocation, your career, your work. His career was already, on a trajectory up. Right after, so between the Venus and Mars period is when he did the Motown 25. He did Billie Jean, that performance, and Mike was already a star, but when he did that performance for Motown, I think that was in 1983. That like catapulted him to superstar status, right? Because you got to remember that night they had Donna Ross, they had Smokey Robinson, they had Marvin Gaye, right? They had some heavy hitters in that crowd. But when Mike performed that night, he had eclipsed everyone. So that lets you know, right, that this man had the right energy with him in that moment, because again, the Mars card being in the Ace of Hearts and then the Venus card being the Eight of Spades means that he loved what he was doing. And then on top of that, he had strong desires, motivating force that propelled him that night, because the backstory on it is that Berry Gordy just wanted them to perform their old songs. Michael said that he was not going to show up unless he could perform one of his new songs. Well, Barry acquiesced and then allowed Michael to perform that night, not knowing that that was going to set the stage for everything else. And Michael never looked back after that. So that happened right in that time frame, right? And so that catapulted him again to superstar status. And a lot of people saw Michael in a different light from that point on. Now, the interesting thing is, in his Jupiter period, which would be around, his 40s, he has the Ace of Diamonds. Again, another powerful card, because you can be lucky financially with that Ace of Diamonds in Jupiter, right? Jupiter is a planet of expansion and abundance. And having a diamond card in Jupiter ain't so bad, right? Because that means that your wealth, your abundance, your financials can expand and come into more prosperity during this time as well. And so I want to say this is around the period in which he purchased that Sony catalog, right? That prized asset that he had, that other people in the music industry so badly wanted to take from him. So that would be right? And then that came from Paul McCartney, right? He had a conversation with Paul about that, and he actually bought the catalog. Now, he also very optimistic, because when you have an Ace of Diamonds in Jupiter, you're a very optimistic person when it comes to your finances, or you can be impatient, right? It could be either way. And also, Michael also realized that his success was mainly built on his people skills and how he could relate to the public and others so well. And that was even more expanded during the Ace of Diamond period in the Jupiter years. Now, sadly enough, unfortunately, Michael passed away at age 50 before he could really get into his Saturn years. But his Saturn card is the Queen of Diamonds. And so what that warns against is about being too extravagant or managing financial resources poorly, that you leave with big burdens. Or, he could have financial responsibility toward a woman. So anybody who's possibly linked to this card, or it may mean that he may have to take care of a sick family member. That could be another indication of a sick female family member, I should say, during this time, because again, we're talking about the Saturn period. Now, if it was about a woman in a relationship, that Queen of Diamonds, then it would be a relationship based on money and material security, if that were the case. And then it would have some type of restrictive situation built around that relationship if that were to happen to him, if he had lived, through his 50s. I would have loved to see how that would have played out for him, because everything else, in his life and his card placement has truly supported everything that he has accomplished. Now let's look at his Venus, not his Venus, but his Uranus card. His Uranus card is the Five of Hearts. And so with the Five of Hearts and Uranus, he's inspired by idealistic and notions, right? That you can express yourself in original and creative ways, always changing up his looks, right? Because that 5 is that number of change and freedom, independence. Being, emotional restless during this time in his life, he could have been that. Or maybe he wanted to be cherished or appreciated by other people, that also loved independence and freedom. See, there it could have gone any kind of way, but that Uranus, placement just means that anything can unexpectedly happen. Uranus is always that planet that brings up that type of energy. So that's the kind of situation you want to watch out for when you're in your Uranus period. No matter if it is your 52-day cycle or your period, right, your planetary period for your life. Now, his last card was Neptune, right? Well, Neptune and Three of Clubs, I should say. So his Neptune card is the Three of Clubs. So if he had lived into his 70s, he would have hit his Neptune period. And so with that, the Three of Clubs kind of brings about creative activities and intellectual pursuits. But you have to avoid, see, Neptune is that planet of illusions, and clubs are all about thought, right? And so you want to make sure that you're clear, you have clear thoughts and clear thinking when you're dealing with Neptune energy and you have a clubs there. So you want to make sure that you know all the facts before undertaking any important decision. So this would have been very important to him, later on in life. If he had reached into his later years of his life in the 70s, this card would have had an influence on Mike. Now, his challenge card is the Three of Spades, and so his challenge card is associated with his career. So he needed to believe or be inspired by what he did. And truly he did. He really leaned into his career, who he was. That was his identity, right? And it was ingrained in him at a young age. And also with that challenge card, he has to watch out for resisting following the goal that are too good in theory, but often too impractical, right? So you don't want to basically look before you leap. You don't want to, when you're in that kind of energy, when you have the Three of Spades as a challenge card. Now, it also, though, that challenge card was also a benefit for him too, because that means that he was multi-talented and often spoiled for choices in life, which truly he was. He was multifaceted, multi-talented. He could sing, dance, act, right? Michael was good at everything that he did. Now, also, I want to touch upon Michael's death because when he passed away, he was actually in his 52-day period, Uranus period. So you already know Uranus is that planet where anything unexpected could happen. He had the Five of Diamonds in Uranus. So with that Five of Diamond in Uranus, it's just, his Uranus period started May 17th, 2009. And he didn't make it to his Neptune period that year because his Neptune period would have started July 8th. But so when he passed away, he was in his Uranus period of his 52-day period of that year. Five of Diamonds, as I said before. And what's crazy is he was planning to go overseas to do that last tour. Yes, he was getting ready to start his last tour. This is it right here. That was it. He was going to retire off his catalog money. He was going to be good after that. And with that Five of Diamonds in Uranus, this does indicate a journey over land for business, right? So he was getting ready to fly overseas for business to do that show in London. We saw the This Is It movie where he was rehearsing for it and everything. And then also there may have been changes in the way he was doing his business and in the way he operated. I think he wasn't doing business the same way as before. He had changed some things with the show and the touring and everything. So that was true. But, unfortunately, like I said, in the Uranus period, the unexpected is bound to happen. And that's exactly how, Michael succumbed to what happened to him, unfortunately. But it did happen in his Uranus period. So that concludes Michael Jackson. I hope you guys enjoyed the card breakdown on Michael. I had a lot of fun doing this because it gives me so much more insight as to who Michael was, but in a different way through his cards. That Ten of Hearts, Mercury and Virgo, that just exuded brilliance, perfectionism, and a lifelong negotiation between being adored and being alone. So next week, I'm going to cover or decode Prince's card, which is the 10 of diamond. And what's interesting and what's a fun fact, I should say, is the fact that Michael Jackson's planetary ruling card is Prince's birth card. It's the 10 of diamond. And believe it or not, these guys had a lot in common. Both born the same year. The month that Mike died was the same month as Prince's birthday, because Prince is born June 7th. And he passed away on June 25th, which is a 7, right? Another 7 day within June. So I'm not going to go too deep into that, but I just want to kind of preface next week's episode on Prince, because he is the 10 of diamonds, and how he and Michael had a lot in common, y'all. It seems like they were rivals at the time, but, I bet you if these guys behind closed doors had a conversation, he would find out that they had a lot in common. And the public loved both of them equally as well, and both of them were talented in their own right. So enough about Prince. Like I said, if you guys want to know about a particular celebrity or want to see me do a breakdown on one in particular, go ahead and drop that in the comments. And if you want early access to this video, then definitely join my Soul Society on my Substack page, and you will get early access to the cards of the rich and famous, also early access to the daily energy reports, and your own personal daily energy web app. Yes, you can log in and get your own personal daily readings on my app. It is there for all my Soul Society members. Not to mention, we do a community meeting starting August 6th, which would be the first Thursday, and every first Thursday at 6 p.m. So if that sounds like something that you want to do, then go ahead and join my Substack. The link is below in the comments. I look forward to making another video for you guys next week. I will see you then. Take care. This is Portia with the Soul Card Studio.